Entertainment Center, where the Kings are enjoying a 61 to 24 point lead here at halftime over the Perth Wildcats. And it's just been ugly for Perth. Redditch, Warrior Princess. That is just wrong. It's just wrong.
Gee whiz.
Sydney have really taken this game personal. Just from the tip.
This second half, a lot of it is about character for the Perth Wildcats.
Crawford is fouled as he tries to split the gap between Ian Crosswhite and Glenn Saville. Crosswhite picks up the violation. Brown, Luke Kendall all over him. Ball's thrown away as Gerald Brown thought that Peter Crawford was going to continue on that curl cut. Didn't happen. Sydney trying to expand on this big lead. Worthington with another fall away. That's short. Ian Crosswhite tips it in. Crawford runs into Ian Crosswhite. That'll be a block. Ian Crosswhite's 5th personal foul as he steps up, has no position.
Just the depth of the Sydney Kings. Big blow to have your big fella on 5 fouls. But they bring in Russell Hinder, a boomer.
Nice pass to Sean Redditch, and he gets an easy one.
Good to see Paul Rogers back on the court as well. Saw his leg take a nasty twist. Looks like he's okay.
Victor squares up on Loudon. Good low post defender. And the Sydney Kings miscue. Remember, you were saying how they always know where one another are, but that was Ray Hunt. He was throwing that one too.
It was Ray Hunt, and Ray had set a pretty good screen on Mark Worthington then. But wild pass.
Redditch. Gerald Brown trying to get it to Redditch on a mismatch. He spins on Kendall and he knocks it out of bounds. Shot clock down to 9.
Again, I've been very critical of the lack of movement on the half court. Getting it through sets of hands, running them through screens, loosening up the defense before you look for a scoring opportunity. There's a good underneath out of bounds play that time. Getting it for Paul Rogers for the easy one.
Well, we've got Ricky Grace on a headset. We might be able to get to Ricky since the Perth Wildcats are down by almost 40 points. Rick, I guess now's not a great time to chat to you, but man, what's going through your mind?
Well, I flew a long way for nothing. That's what's going through my mind. But no, it's a bit disappointing, you know. When you have such an emotional game like this, sometimes they end up blowouts. But I think Brian Goorjian won the verbal warfare sort of war in this one, and I think we came out a bit mentally soft and physically soft, and you just can't do that against the Sydney Kings team.
Well, before you came, because you came to this country and to play for the Perth Wildcats in 1990, but the season before you came here, Perth had its biggest playoff loss, 55 points. It was 165 to 110, the North Melbourne Giants, and I guess they felt like we better go get ourselves a player. We get ourselves some Ricky Grace and start winning some playoff games.
Yeah, well, I mean, big games, you know, sometimes these things happen. That's what I said. You know, sometimes you have blowouts, but I compare the Sydney Kings to a bully. And when you're fighting a bully, you better throw the first punch, because otherwise you're going to get knocked out. And the Wildcats didn't throw the first punch tonight.
Are you a little surprised that Sean Redditch has come out and missed free throws and, you know, had a night that hasn't been anything like his playoff night so far?
That's what I mean with the mindset. I just think we came out tentatively mentally as well as tentatively physically. And you just can't do that against the Sydney Kings team. The Wildcats have gotten to where they are because of their physicality. And I think the verbal warfare and the verbal jostling has affected their physicality and their mentality to be physical. So we were a little tentative in the beginning, and now it's too late.
The mindset, Ricky, no question there is issues there, but also the structure. They've been very terminal. Everyone's going one out, and structurally they're not helping each other, or they weren't early on helping each other out.
Well, the Kings have done a good job of taking them out of that structure with their pressure defense. And the Wildcats made an adjustment in game 2 when they had someone other than their guards bringing the ball down the court. Now the Kings seem to have made an adjustment on that. And even though they have anyone bring the ball down the court, they're still able to provide enough defensive pressure to take them out of that structure. And they're not getting into their offense until it's about 8-9 seconds in the shot clock, and then it's too late.
And what do you think about the final between the Melbourne Tigers and the Sydney Kings?
Well, Melbourne better throw the first punch. That's all I got to say. And then when they stand up to the Sydney Kings and Brian Gorgon starts his verbal warfare, don't get caught up in it and just continue to play your basketball game, because you can get talked out of it. And I think the Wildcats are focused a little bit too much on nothing, just going out there and throwing the first punch and playing basketball.
Okay, thanks, Ricky, for all those thoughts. I know you probably weren't thinking we were going to ask you so many questions. We've been talking to you for about 5 minutes, but thanks for your words, and I hope you have a good time here in Sydney, even though that it hasn't been a great game to watch for you.
Well, it's Mardi Gras tonight, and I brought my dress and high heels, so I hope I have more fun tonight than I am now.
All right, we might have the cameras just follow you into the dressing room after the game.
Thanks, brother.
All right, Ricky Grace, one of the greatest to ever lace up a pair of boots, import-wise especially here in this country.
No doubt about that. He played at the University of Oklahoma, and him and Nicky Blaylock. Imagine, we played them when he was at Oklahoma, and they beat us by 50. We played him in Oklahoma before he came out here, and I swear it was worse than this. If we got it over the center line, it felt like it was a touchdown or a try, a rugby try. That's how our goals were reevaluated.
Isaiah Victor, nice pass to Russell Hinder, and he's hitting all those little chippies with his right and his left hand tonight. A little disappointing in game 2, and he's responded with a big game 3, Russell Hinder.
Absolutely, and he does that. He's very much a receiver, gets in the right spots. The Kings do a good job of their penetration and finding the open man.
Russell Hinder again, single coverage. He's passed first, gets it to Worthington. He's waiting for the double, spins to the baseline. Nice pass to Isaiah Victor. The open look is long.
They're the plays I'm talking about, Steve. Down low, whenever you're posting the guy up, they've always got their one-on-one play. They've always got a lot of weak side action going for release passes.
Redditch throws the ball away. Russell Hinder kicks it to Saville. Little bump, he goes off the glass, and somehow that finds a way to go in. Thank you.
The Sydney Kings already have 5 team fouls to the Perth Wildcats 1. And remember a quote by Billy Milton-Hall in the other game the other night, 75% of the time, the team that wins the foul count wins the game.
Wow.
Again tonight, foul count heavily in favour of the Sydney Kings. They've got 23 for the game. The Perth Wildcats with 14.
Allows a nice touch pass to Rogers. His little jump hook finds its way in. Rogers into double figures with 10. Saville on a pull through. Gets it to Worthington. Russell Hinder spins to the middle. His left hand shot is no good, but he's fouled. He'll go to the line.
Good low post move by Russell Hinder. Very mobile down, puts the ball to the floor. Oh, got away with a little travel. And gets it up and gets whacked. Go to line and shoot 2.
You know, it's interesting, Andrew. It's rumored that, well, it was rumored earlier that Mark Worthington was on his way to the Perth Wildcats. That would have been interesting. Matching up with Sean Redditch every day in training.
Hey, make no mistake about it, the Perth Wildcats, regardless of what happens tonight, would love to have Mark Worthington.
Yeah, they'd have to see a marriage counselor or something, have them get along.
They would kiss and make up in a heartbeat.
Yeah, good point. Scott Fisher, you look at him, Andrew Vlahoff and Fisher, they always had heated battles in training and didn't see eye to eye. And the Wildcats still continue to win once he got there. Crawford turns it over again for the Perth Wildcats, but I can't imagine too many people getting along with Vlahoff when they don't play on the same team anyway.
No. Somewhat in the Russell Hinder mold, where you love him when he's on your team. Not so fond of him amongst opposition fans.
Kendall comes up with it again. Ball's knocked out of his hands. No need to complain to the ref when you're up by 40.
And there's a...
Come out.
Timeout on the floor. First Wildcats try to come up with some more points. You know, what do you talk about here? Well, I guess we're going to find out very shortly.
Yeah, we'll go to the Perth Wildcats huddle.
Here we go, fellas. Come on, boys.
And really it'd be interesting to hear what Scott Fisher's got to say with such a desperate situation.
Read it right here, read it.
When we've hit these guys, we've had some good looks here. We've hit these guys. I think you can throw this and get yourself open, like, you know. So, probably Sean or Paul hit this. So you're thinking net. You're thinking that, but see if you can hit this guy ahead of time, make that cut. Might have Gerald here, have a backdoor situation. If not, go ahead, go down here and set it for Jeff.
Well, I just make it Kobe. Kobe, just go set that. Run that one. Oh, yeah, run that one.
Run that, then run Kobe.
Scott Fisher just talking about some offensive sets that he wants to look at, try and create some scoring opportunities. You can see the hecklers in the background making it difficult for Scotty Fisher. And in those circumstances, when you're getting pounded like this, it is your tolerance levels are tested to the max. Not just to turn around, grab one of them by the billy goat, and drive their head into one of those stands, because that's the frustration that you go through your head. But you just got to bite your lip and suck it up and take your punishment.
Who are you trying to kid? You haven't had a violent thought in your head in your life.
I have the violent thoughts, just don't execute them.
Sydney after another turnover by the Perth Wildcats. Good pass to Mark Worthington. Good hands by Peter Crawford. Draper gets Sean Redditch to pick it up. Gerald Brown for three.
Gerald Brown, I like his game. Very steady, not the explosive type, can knock down the open shot, and has got better throughout his time here in Australia. Started off a little slow.
Saville from the baseline is long. I think he liked the look of it. He was kind of trotting away like it was good.
Just on Gerald Brown, Steve, to the Perth Wildcats, do they retain his services for next season? If you're coach, do you?
Oh, he'd be one of my priorities. He's been so solid for him in the big games, especially when they had to win those games to make it into the Final Four spots.
And psychologically, the Perth Wildcats, they've had these big games, 4 or 5 big games already. Throughout the end of the regular season, they had some big games to work their way into the top 4. Of course, they had the big game against Townsville. And none bigger than a few days ago in Perth with a great win over the depleted Sydney Kings, let's be honest. But it was a great game.
That was a great win.
Great win, great game. That can be taxing when you got all those big games in a row. Not trying to make excuses for the Wildcats, but...
B.J. Carter from the corner. Russell Hinder tries to keep it alive. Redditch is picked up straight away by Dante Draper. I'm surprised more teams don't do that. Send a guard at him. to slow down Sean Reddich's dribble in the open court. Skip pass to Hunt. His floater is tipped by Rogers. Can't get it to go. Draper in the open court. Ball's kicked by Brad Robbins. Draper's taking the headband off.
Dante Draper would be a starter in most teams. His role here is less than what it would be for most imports, but he is good enough to play a much bigger role.
Yeah, something that we've said about Stephen Hoare a lot for the Melbourne Tigers.
And good on him for accepting his role, because he is quicker than anything, can shoot the ball, plays great D, smart player. Comes off the bench in a team that's 27-3. Dante Draper on the season only averaged 29 minutes a game for 14 points, and capable of turning a game off his own hand.
Yeah, and he has.
And in the clutch, that's CL, clutch. The Mardi Gras catching up with me. In the clutch, he's come up big on many occasions this year.
Yeah, he has. But will he be back next year? You know, Brian Gorgon doesn't hang on to those imports for too long.
Well, right now, and I hate to say it, it's maybe the wrong thing to do, but right now, let's hope the Sydney Kings hang on.
Good defense from B.J. Carter. And if there were no Sydney Kings, where would this man go? B.J. Carter, work experience for the Sydney Kings back when he was a young fella. I mean, he looks young, but I think he looked like that back when he did work experience for the Sydney Kings.
He's one of those kids, or boys, or men, that's going to look like that. He'll be 50 and still look like he's 13.
Draper. Got a nice handle on it. Nice pass to Russell Hinder, and he hits one off the window. All those shots are going down for Rusty Hinder.
They're toying with him now, Steve. Offensively, just picking them apart. Again, I'd like to see that the Wildcats just sit in the zone a little bit. Keep it tight. Give them nothing cheap. They're going to beat you. Let them spray them away, hit the threes. But right now, they're just picking them off.
Draper, will he go upstairs? Oh. Draper for the jam off 2 feet.
Listen to the Sydney Kings fans. They've been spooked into action by the Perth Wildcats fans. And the Sydney fans have come to play tonight as well.
3 minutes here. D without fouling. D without fouling. 3 minutes here. This three's game.
As Brian Gorgon had a look at the scoreboard, you never know where his team is these 3 minutes. I do like the fact that he's telling Dante Draper to have a little fun on shakes. This should be interesting.
Well, he knows that he can have his way with him. There's no one really out there that's on those pick and rolls. They haven't come up with a formula to contain him, and that's not an easy assignment at the best of times. But when you're 42 down and the guy's full of confidence and got absolutely nothing to lose, he's able to express himself a little bit more on those pick and rolls.
Mark Worthington is still up and in like it's a 2-point game. The frustration just continues for the Perth Wildcats as the Sydney Kings are relentless.
The Wildcats, 33% from the field. They're 2-11 from the three-point line for 18%. And have got 20 turnovers to the Sydney Kings with 7 turnovers.
The most one-sided game this year was a 48-point game. The Brisbane Bullets beat the Adelaide 36ers 155 to 107. Ebi Ara, 51 points in that one.
In 32 minutes or something.
Yeah. That doesn't even seem possible. Draper, a little pullback jump shot. Oh, man, okay. I guess he's expressing himself like that.
And that's having fun.
He's not even smiling or sweating. Loughton and Worthington still going at it. Ben Hunt. Draper having some more fun. Bounces it off of Ben Hunt. Brian Gorgon has unleashed the monster in Dante Draper. He's got a bucket and a turnover. Let's see what he comes up with on this possession and get the ball out of his hands. The ball's thrown right to Mike Hummock.
No hands here.
Ben Hunt, ball handling in front of Dante Draper.
Good strain. No arms, no arms.
Loughton turns the corner on Saville off the glass, can't get it to go. Hummock. Russell Hinder bails out Mike Hummock.
You can't help but have respect for the way the Sydney Kings are going about it, in the fact that they're 42 points up, but still playing every possession as if it matters. It's very easy when you get 20, 30 up and the game's on ice to get a little complacent, say, oh, well, we'll give up 2 here, we'll give up a couple here. It doesn't really matter.
When do you take your players out?
Well, the problem the Perth Wildcats have is their bench is almost as good as their starters. Well, they just share the minutes around.
Mark Worthington's on. He's on the bike, keeping himself warm. Maybe he's going to come back into the game.
Jason Smith, on the course of the season, led the team in minutes played with 32. And Isaiah Victor gets a piggyback. Oh, dear.
That's good sportsmanship by Brad Robbins. Now, he goes there, and he hangs on to him. Make sure he doesn't fall.
Yeah.
And that is good sportsmanship. Isaiah Victor solid, also solid in game 2, even though it was in a losing cause for the Kings. 86-41.
You're a bad man.
The third quarter. The scoring woes continue for the Wildcats. Loughton for 3.
Alex Loughton has not got it going against the Sydney Kings offensively. Oh.
B.J. Carter got stuck underneath the rim. Cam Tovey. Another turnover for the Wildcats. Draper kicks it to B.J. Carter.
Thank yourself for the body.
There we have Tim Johnson, who is the owner of the Sydney Kings. That man's been under a lot of pressure as well with the ownership situation and also just with the financial plight of the Sydney Kings. We wish him well in his endeavours to get the Sydney Kings back on track. Could not have asked for more from the players. And that's something that's gone under the radar a little bit, Steve, is given the situation with the Sydney Kings, apparently there's been some late payments to players, a bit of conjecture about their future. And for them just to play through that situation as if it's not even been there, you got to respect the attitude and the desire and the competitiveness of this Sydney Kings outfit.
B.J. Carter for 3. Hasn't been able to find the mark outside the 3-point line. Let's face it, they haven't needed it. Not tonight.
I tell you, Russell Hinder's putting up his hand for a mobile phone. He's got 17 points, 9 in this quarter. 2 rebounds. Brings a lot of energy.
B.J. Carter finds himself open. He doesn't make the same mistake this time. Drains the 3-point hoop. A 50-point lead for the Kings. Gerald Brown's 17-footer is good. Brown still rock solid for the Perth Wildcats, but he doesn't have much help. Draper.
starting to go to the record books and try to find out what the Kings' biggest winning margin ever is. Hopefully we'll have that information shortly. Put the pressure on the stat man a little bit.
Robbins gets it to Brown. His long-range three is off the mark. Loughton with the offensive rebound.
Can't fly one.
And that's it. After 3 quarters, the Sydney Kings with 91 points. That's not a misprint. 91-43 here in Game 3 of the semifinals here on Fox. Well, Dante Draper goes upstairs. It's been a little bit of everything for the Sydney Kings. Plenty to cheer about here at the Sydney Entertainment Center. We'll be back.